The French Revolution was directly inspired by the American Revolution, so they are similar in many ways, but their differences may have been the more deciding factors of their legacy. America could have learned from these differences if they had the knowledge of the French Revolution. A clear similarity would be the fight against an oppressive political system. In America, it was Britain ruling from overseas, and for France, it was their own monarch. Something that Britain during the American Revolution could have learned from the French Revolution would be to support the people and promise them what they want. During the American Revolution, the idea of people being able to overthrow a government hadn't been exercised much, and maybe Britain would have acted more carefully if they had known what people were capable of. However, I would argue that the American Revolution went much smoother because when looking at the number of casualties, the French spilled much more blood than the Americans, with the casualties of the American Revolution being 50,000 and the French Revolution being in the hundreds of thousands, with the Reign of Terror killing 40,000 people alone. Another common specific similarity would be the high taxation by the government. In both revolutions, the government had recently raised taxes on the common people. In the American Revolution, Britain raised taxes on stamps and other paper products to pay for their support in the 7 Years' War, causing big protests by the people because there was nothing political that they could do about it. This issue developed one of the slogans of the American Revolution: no taxation without representation. But the Crown ignored them, and instead he instituted new taxes on tea, paper, glass, and paint. In the French Revolution, taxes were also an issue. The French monarchy raised taxes to pay off their own national debt that was largely increased due to their support of the American Revolution. This is very ironic because of how the main cause of the American Revolution was unfair taxation. Perhaps the American Revolution could have been prevented if Britain had seen how taxes affected France. This is also ironic because France wouldn't have needed to raise taxes if it weren't for their support of the American Revolution. But if they didn't support America, America could have failed and France may not have revolted at all due to lack of inspiration. One could also argue that the American Revolution could have learned from the French Revolution on the idea of fear. Maximilien Robespierre was a leader of the French Revolution who made much progress towards succeeding in the revolution, but during his time in power he was responsible for the death of thousands of civilians. Robespierre's rule was called the Reign of Terror because of how he used ideas of terror and fear to inspire people to support revolution and be afraid of not supporting it. The evidence of fear inspiring the revolution would be that the French Revolution lasted 2 years less than the American Revolution. This is important because at the rate the French Revolution was going, probably tens of thousands of more people could have died. However, this is not as relevant to the American Revolution because of how there were very few royalists in America, because they were ruled by Britain from across the sea. Although it may not have worked as well, if they cut off a few redcoat heads, British soldiers probably would have been more fearful of the revolution. Another big idea that came up in the French Revolution that America could have followed, if they had the knowledge, is the abolition of slavery. In 1794, in the middle of the French Revolution, slavery was abolished in France, while America kept slavery and did not abolish it till 1865 during the Civil War. America was fighting for independence, but they seem to have ignored ideas of equality. Although this may not have been a huge impact on the outcome of the Revolutionary War, I think it would have been a great step forward for America and could have shown how they were changing as an independent country. In conclusion, the American Revolution and the French Revolution were similar in ideas of overthrowing oppressive governments and protesting how their government ignored them, and differed in how they controlled the people to help revolt and abolishing slavery. There were obviously many other similarities and differences, but I believe these are the most important. Unlike France, America did not feel the need to use fear and terror to organize the people. America was also unlike France in how France abolished slavery during the Revolution, much earlier than America. America waited many years after the Revolution, and it took a whole war to solve it. The American Revolution could have learned from these differences to make for a more successful revolution.